Hey everyone, it is sunny here. Let me just check and make sure that I'm live and all is good. And it looks like I am. Okay, so today we are going to talk about blogging, really specifically the number one tool that I use to blog in my business. I want to talk for a few minutes here about why blogging is important. Blogging is a great way to consistently refresh and update your website um, for Google rankings. So, anytime that we do something, or if you've ever heard of SEO or search engine optimization, a lot of that is letting Google know that what you're doing on your website is something that people need or want to know about. Continually updating your website, adding some new information, all of that is really good ways to communicate that to Google. And so blogging is actually a great way to communicate that as well, because if you're consistently blogging, when I say consistently, once a week, every other week, or once a month, you're adding new information and new material to your website. And that's telling Google that your website is recent, up to date, and relevant. So the more consistently you update your website, the better it's going to communicate to Google that you're relevant. Now, when you're blogging, obviously keywords is a really important thing to focus in on as well, because keywords that you put in your blogs are what people are searching for. So if somebody goes to, like for myself, if somebody goes to Google and they type in Hashimoto's gluten, that's keywords that I use quite frequently. And so they're going to be presented with a lot of people's information, but my blogs on Hashimoto's gluten or anything containing those keywords will also show up as well. So the more people that click on my blogs based on those keywords also communicates to Google rankings that my website is important. So blogging is a whole conversation for a really long day because there's a lot that goes into it. But I wanted to share with you the tool that I use for every single blog that I create. And I blog every single week. Okay, so let me share my screen with you because I'm going to explain it to you. So I cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. So where am I? Oh, there I am. Okay, so it's called the Hemingway Editor, or the Hemingway app. And you can see it here. So I have copy and pasted my most recent blog that I did here into the Hemingway app, or the Hemingway Editor. The first, or the very last thing, so once I've written a blog in a Word document, I take some time away from it and then I come back to it because it's easier to edit with a fresh pair of eyes. So I'll write the blog, I'll just kind of brain dump everything that I'm thinking with my references and things like that. And then I usually walk away for a day or so. And then I come back and I read it again, edit it how I want. And then the last thing I do before I schedule it is I copy and paste it into the Hemingway Editor, or the Hemingway app. This app does cost. It's a one-time. Last time I bought it, oh my goodness, I want to say 4 years ago now, it was $19. And it's a one-time deal. And they call it the Hemingway Editor, or the Hemingway app, because if you think about Hemingway, who was a very simplistic author, a very simplistic writer, his books are very easy to read. Anybody at any level can read them. And when it comes to blogging, you want to make sure that your blogs are very easy to read and very easy to understand. When people are reading blogs, it's important to know that they skim. They skim the pages to look for the information that they're looking for. If their mind tells them that, yes, this is what I'm looking for, then they typically may go back to the top and start reading line by line and really absorbing the information. But when we're blogging, we want to make sure that we're blogging in very simplistic words and terms. So we don't want to use a lot of medical terminology or a lot of nutrition terminology. And if we do, we want to make sure that we really kind of pull it down to a basic level. And that's not saying that the people that read the information aren't smart enough to comprehend. That's not what we're talking about at all. our brains just skim. And so when our brains skim, they typically look at the first 2 words in a sentence and the last 2 words in a sentence. So when you're blogging, it's a completely different form of writing. Your sentences are short, they're choppy. You start sentences with prepositions like and. You just, you write like you would talk. If you were explaining it to somebody, you would write in that manner. And so the very last thing I do is I copy and paste my blog into Hemingway. And this is the last blog that I've written. And it's actually, no, it's not the last blog. I apologize. I have 2 more written. This one just got published today. And so what I do is sometimes I'll look through here at the different stuff, but I've gotten to a point now to where I only look at the readability. When I first started blogging, I really spent a lot of time utilizing the Hemingway editor because I wanted to make sure that what I was putting out was skimmable, that it was going to draw in the reader and help them understand nutrition or the topic that I was talking about in a really simplistic, bite-sized way. So I've kind of honed my skill now to where I really don't need this app, but I still use it. I still pop in my blog and I look at the readability. You always want to make sure that you are grade 5 or below. If you're in middle school or if your blog is in high school level, you definitely need to change your sentence structure or the words that you're using. And you'll notice down here that it really gives you some tips. So the ones that are most important are probably the yellows and reds. So this one says that 11 of 118 sentences are hard to read. So if I wanted to, I could go back through here and it highlights those sentences for me in yellow. So I could go back through here and figure out, okay, how do I want to reword this so that it's no longer hard to read? And you can do that. You can do that with the reds too. So the red says I've got 2 of 118 sentences are very hard to read. Let's find a red. I think I saw one at the top. Here's a red one. And this is probably because there's a lot of hard words in it. So I don't know that I could rewrite this in a way to make it easier. The reason that this is red is for a couple of reasons. One, it is a fairly long sentence by Hemingway standards. 2, it's got a lot of big words. It's got hypothyroidism, pituitary thyroid hormone conversions. So those are all fairly large or big complex words, I should say, when it comes to the Hemingway app. So I wouldn't mess with the sentence because for me, there isn't a way that I could rephrase the sentence without utilizing those bigger words or more complex words and still hit the same meanings. So if I had maybe 7 or 8, I would look at and pick and choose the red sentences that I could rephrase or rehone or pare down. But you're never going to get across, you're never going to get 0 of 118 sentences or 0 of 118 sentences or difficult or hard. So you just try to minimize where you can. I might look at the adverbs, so 10 adverbs, which is meeting the goal of 14 or fewer. If I was over, and I used to be way over when I first started, it highlights them in blue for you. So I could take some of these out if I wanted to really pare that down or rephrase the sentence so it didn't have that adverb in it. So if you're first starting your blogging, hands down, Hemingway Editor is definitely a tool that you want to invest in. Like I said, when I bought it 4 years ago, it was $19.99. I can't imagine the price has increased at all. But if you intend on blogging or consistently updating your website for that search engine optimization, the Hemingway Editor is definitely a way for you to go to help hone your writing, to help bring in that consistency or the simplicity that we're looking for when it comes to blogging. Okay, so like I said, I could talk about blogging all day long, but that is the #1 tool that I use every single time, even 4 years on in blogging now, that I use every single time to make sure that my blogs are spot on, hitting the mark, and they are returning on an investment, I should say, an investment of my time in bringing in new email subscribers and new clients to me. All right, so that is it for today. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you around. Thanks for joining me. Bye.